Jason from Laundry List, and today we are going to speak with the infamous Madeline, who's the person that takes care of the laundromat when I'm out of town. And I just returned. I was in Europe 4 days ago. So Madeline came in, took care of the place. We're going to find out how Madeline and I know each other and what is it that Madeline does when she comes into the laundromat, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that you do. Madeline, what is it that you do as soon as you come into the laundromat?
I walk in, I check that the Northampton Karate Dojo postcards are up. Then I walk around, I check on the chairs, I check for that there's any trash. I've recently started going down the washing machines and checking if there's any detergent left over or shaking the machines to see if any of the panels are loose. Because I notice if I do it while I'm doing my rounds of wiping down the washing machines that I tend to forget. So I've just decided to incorporate my first walk around so that I remember and it gets done and it feels like it gets done faster.
Well, you also have like a checklist of things that you're very meticulous with your checklist. And you took notes electronically, like on your phone when we were first going through the training process.
I took pictures of the stuff you showed me, like how the chairs are supposed to be oriented so I remember, and where stuff is so I remember what it looks like. I don't have to text you like, oh, Mr. Foster, where's the mop?
Right. You come in, and actually, I think the absolute first thing you do is you text me, and you're like, "Oh, I'm in the laundromat."
Yeah.
And we do that because there might be something I need to like talk to you about. Maybe there's an error message on a machine that I knew about from the previous day. So it's great that you let me know when you're in the laundromat, and wherever I am in the world, I can either text or call, and we can figure things out. All right. So you come in and you start immediately cleaning. All right, so walk us through what that cleaning process is like.
We're going to walk around, or we're just...
No, we're just going to stand here.
Okay. So
when I'm out of town, you come in every day.
Yeah.
And what time do you typically try to come in?
I try around 10, 11 to arrive because I've noticed that's where I can get the most consistent parking. Because when I did like around 11 to 12, I noticed that the parking outside, I usually had to drive around the parking lot to wait for a parking space, and that made me extremely nervous. And I came in earlier, I noticed that I got more consistent parking. I was like, okay.
Right, so the earlier you're in town, the more parking is available. Yeah. Also, it's great because, we had a 6-hour time difference. So I was still awake when you came in before like noon, which was good.
So what I did when you gave me that list after a few rounds, I optimized it. So I grouped tasks that I can do in similar rounds. Like, for example, when I first walk in, as I said, I check that the Karate Dojo cards are up. I check that the door to the basement is locked, like you wanted me to check. I do a walk around, check if there's trash. I check if there's any detergent or any weird stuff, or any of the washing machine panels are loose. I check the chairs. I roll the baskets back under the tables. Basically anything I can do without having to go in the back first.
So that's interesting, Madeline. I have not thought about the order. Like for me, the order was always based on what I thought made sense, but wow, credit to you for figuring out how to be a little more efficient. And that's interesting that you do a bunch of tasks so that you don't even have to open the back closet and you've already tackled a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Way to use your college brain, right? You're graduating, by the way, in like a couple weeks.
I hope so.
That's the plan anyway.
I still have to do a lot of like end of college stuff,
which you have time to do, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. Before you even go in the closet, you do all those things you just mentioned. Once you open the closet, then what do we do?
Okay, so the first thing I do is I grab some small things. I grab the cleaner that you use to clean the tables and the washing machines. I grab 2 rags, or like washcloths or whatever they're called. And I also grab the key for the Speed Queen lint drawer. Right. And then I go out and I start with the dryers first. I clean out all the dryers of their lint that aren't running.
By the way, do you know what happens if you pull the lint drawer out while a dryer is running?
It stops.
Yeah, it stops the dryer, and then you just hit the reset. You just hit start again.
Yeah. So
has that happened to you?
I don't think so. Sometimes it happens. I think a dryer is done, and I pull out the lint drawer, and then I close it, and then it goes another cycle, and I don't know why it does that.
So it does that. That's actually an interesting point. So dryers will do that. Even after the cycle ends, the dryer will continue to spin like every 5 minutes for sometimes 30 to 60 minutes, whatever the dryer is programmed to do. And the theory behind it is when it does that, it prevents wrinkling of the clothes.
Okay.
So the dryer's done, the clothes are dry,
Yeah.
but if the clothes are still in the dryer before the person who owns the clothes comes back, the dryers will still spin a little bit just to keep the clothes from wrinkling terribly, like my shirt.
Yeah, so I don't think I've disrupted a dryer cycle yet. But after I clean out all the lint out, what I do is I go around again with one of the cloths and I wipe down the outside of the dryer doors because a lot of dust happens to collect on their rims. And I do it after the lint because when I'm scraping out the lint, it throws up all the dust and it just settles back down. And I'm like,
have you ever coughed or sneezed from all the lint?
no, I don't think so. I'm not allergic to dust, not like my brother. Yeah, so after that.
So after the dryers.
Yeah, I've wiped them down. And I might come back to them afterwards if another cycle is finished, but that's for later. I return the key to the back, so another one of my hands are free. And then I move on to the tables. I take the cleaner, I spritz down the tables, I wipe them down. Sometimes I have to work around customers, other stuff. I try not to disturb it too much. I'll just move it slightly to the side or just maybe like move it under the tables. It's so they'll still easily find it, but it's just a little out of the way. So I clean all that with one of the cloths, and then I start cleaning the outside of the washing machines.
So the exterior of the machines to make sure because sometimes you'll notice detergent gets stuck on the exterior. Yeah.
Or there's like powder around the rim or something from like
even lint will travel that far.
Yeah. So I start wiping down the machines. I go all the way up and down the rows. I clean them off. I sometimes prop the dryer doors open to help them dry.
Okay.
And then I do a second round with the other washcloth, and I'm wiping down the seal on the inside of the machines. I wipe all of them down.
So you use a clean washcloth for the interior of the machine.
That's the second one. And so I go down and I wipe all of them, and I see if there's any like weird stuff. There's like a sock stuck in there, or just kind of dry. And I dry the inside of the.
Just out of curiosity, what do you do with socks that are stuck?
I put them back here.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. And by the way, you do a much more thorough job than I do. Which is credit to your cleaning capabilities. I think you go through more washcloths than any other person that's ever helped me, which I guess is a good thing because you're always keeping them clean.
It's good because it gets so dirty.
So you've wiped down all the machines. What do we do with the floor?
I sweep it.
You sweep the floor. And so how long does this process usually take?
It takes me, if I'm being like normal speed, it takes me about an hour.
Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite task in the laundromat?
Sweeping, sometimes just because the way I do it,
really?
It's like,
I'm surprised.
It kind of like, it's just a little hard on my back because I stoop and I sweep like this, and it's not really great for my back, so I should maybe
You need to learn to hold the broom like this and move.
I tried that once. It doesn't seem as fast, and
Right.
But also like wiping the outside machines because it just takes so long.
Yeah. Is there a task that you prefer to do? Like, what's your favorite task in the laundromat?
Emptying out the lint, honestly, because I can just scrape it out. I make like my own lint scrubby, and then I just scrape it out with the rest.
Do you create a lint pile at the end?
I have a nice lint ball.
A lint ball.
Yeah.
All right. And also then you throw it out in the trash, and then if the trash is full,
I empty it out.
You take the trash out. And you're in here cleaning and doing the various things.
Mm-hmm.
Do people ever interact with you?
Sometimes usually to ask me questions.
All right, so what do they ask you?
Designated, how do you do this? How does this work? And I'll just say like, I don't know. I've never used a laundromat before.
So we'll have to train you on the most common things that people might ask you.
The thing is, most of the time it doesn't go a problem because most of the time it's like, oh, you can text Mr. Foster if you have an issue with the machine, or it's like I can text you if like the door isn't opening or something.
But it's they usually are able to resolve
they're
it.
Usually nice.
Between you and them, you can figure it out.
Yeah, there was a person I think last time I was here who had like a quarter, not really stuck, but just like sitting in the
coin slot.
Yeah, in the coin slot, and I just like pushed it in. I took a quarter and just pushed it in. It was like
well, worst case, actually, there's a small screwdriver in the back. You could just pop it through.
I haven't run into that yet, luckily.
There was one time where someone got a little prickly and was just kind of like yelling a little bit, right, when you were in here once?
The lady that was
Yeah, what
washing-
happened?
Well, I walked in and I was, doing my usual rounds, just cleaning, and this lady was sitting in one of the chairs washing her clothes, and she was talking, and she had a voice I couldn't really understand. I couldn't tell if she maybe had a throat issue or something. Either way, I could barely understand what she was saying, but I did understand some of it. And she was basically accusing me of being a liar for some reason, for my reason of being at the laundry. I was like, okay.
Were you lying to her?
No, I wasn't.
I didn't think so.
I'm just a fairy who comes in here and cleans your laundromat. You just have to leave me milk and cookies as payment.
Laundromats do get all walks of life. Because I never want you to feel do you ever feel uncomfortable in here?
No, I mean, even with that, I wasn't uncomfortable. I was just like, okay.
Well, there's a reason, which we're going to get into really soon, of why you feel comfortable in a lot of different scenarios. You're currently finishing up, like we just said, college.
Yeah.
All right. When you graduate college, first of all, does that create like anxiety about what do you do next?
Yeah.
And are you currently like looking for a full-time job? And
yeah, well, not yet, because I might take a year off just to kind of like acquaint myself, clean up my resume, and just maybe chill with my current part-time jobs. But after that,
wait, that's great news to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because I do strawberry picking in the summer as well. Okay. I don't think that'll conflict.
Probably not. And in fact, if your clothes get dirty from picking strawberries, you can just stick them in the machines and wash them. A lot of people have asked, how do we know each other, or how did I find such a good person to take care of the laundromat when I'm not here? How do we know each other?
Hold that thought.
Here we are. As I've mentioned in previous podcasts, I recently sold, but I owned a karate dojo for 15 years. And I have been teaching children karate for over 20 years. And one of the children was Madeline. You were, I think, 12 when you started.
I was a very old child.
How old are you now?
I'm 23.
23. So I have been teaching you karate for over 10 years. Wow. I'll tell you, the person you are today is very different than the person you were when you were 12 in terms of your ability to focus, and you're like a karate machine now. And sometimes I have to be concerned that you could hurt me when we're in the middle of practicing. And the reason we're in our uniforms now is because in about 30 minutes, we're going to be teaching children, and Madeline is one of the assistants in the kids class. When did you earn your black belt?
I think it was I believe it was last year.
About a year ago.
Yeah, because I tested last summer, I believe.
And you're a first degree black belt.
Yeah.
You're using some weapons. You use the bow and sai.
Yeah.
And are you interested in learning more weapons?
Yeah, I'm interested.
You attend a few classes a week. You attend a black belt class that is specific for black belts. You also attend some of the kids classes to assist. Yeah. Has karate been like a positive influence in your life, or have you noticed any change in like your focus or your confidence or anything that might affect your day-to-day living?
I would say I had to grow into it to full. I appreciate when I was young because it was like consistent source of exercise. I found it was a new, fun, shiny thing at first, but then I felt like it was a sense of fulfillment because I got to beat up pads and stuff.
Right.
And
now you beat me up.
Yeah. Like gain a sense of control over my body, but over time I got better at focusing, and it's like now that I'm helping teach the kids, it's a sense of learning responsibility with teaching the younger kids. I can't say I'm particularly great at it, because if you just give me the kids and then just send me off, I'm like, oh God, what am I doing?
No, you've gotten much better, and you're like a role model for, especially for the young girls that are in the class, because we're teaching kids ages 5 to generally the top end of this kids class is about 14, 13 or 14. And they look up to you, and because you're like, you've come through the program and you're an example of what can happen when you focus. Do you feel like if there was ever a situation, you'd be able to handle yourself?
What kind of situation?
A situation where you have to defend yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I'd at least put up a better fight than just like if you tried to fight me in 7th grade before I started karate.
Right. Every single person that's ever assisted me in a laundromat have all been black belts, and they've all been kids that came up through the program. You, though, have been around. I mean, it's lucky that you've gone to college in this area, so you've been around the longest. But most people, by the time they're 18, 19, they end up, moving away to go to college.
I've stayed local. I was in high school at the time, and I had this this ear problem where I had an ear blockage. I had
What's that?
An ear blockage.
No, that was a joke.
I had an ear blockage that I hadn't gotten taken care of, so I could not hear anything out of this ear. I remember the sensei was talking to me, and I think he asked me something, and I was like, "What?" And he just stared at me, but I literally could not hear what he was saying.
You're lucky you didn't throw a punch. You probably would have blocked it.
Yeah, because my eyes were blocked.
Right, your eyes definitely work. What is the one thing that you like about teaching kids?
You can have a little fun with them. It's like, I know that we're all over more show, don't tell, but you got to keep them. They've got they haven't grown into their attention spans yet, so you need to keep you can joke a little around with them, but you need to make sure to keep them in line. I noticed that you're better with that because they you bring out the electric hands to keep their head still. I
do have a few tricks up my sleeve when it comes to dealing with the kids.
We'd threaten the kids with sensei. It's like, oh no, he's gonna wobble you.
When you come in and assist me, have I been responsive? Have I been supportive? Would you give me a decent score in that regard?
Yeah, the main thing is is not your fault because you can't be everywhere at once. You are a single sensei. So it's you've got I need to just make sure I can operate by myself because I can't just go, oh, sensei, something's going wrong. The kids are looking everywhere and I can't get them to look at me.
We trust that you're responsible enough to deal with the smaller kids when you're in a group with that you're responsible for. If there was anything that you could hope for in karate, what would it be?
I just hope I get to the rank of sensei.
Someday you probably will be a sensei. Typically it takes 2 or 3 years between each degree, and then another 3 to 5 years from your second degree to your third degree. So you're well on your path. I predict before you're 30, you will be Sensei Madeline.
I hope so.
Has a pretty good ring to it, right?
Yeah.
Is there a specific field that you want to go into?
Not really. That's the problem I had with college, and I'm aging out, and I don't feel like this is the climate where I can continue to explore what I want to do because I have to be mindful of my parents paying for college. It's their money, and it's I need to get out because it's costing them more.
College is expensive.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a return on college these days. Yeah. And the job market, from what I hear from my own kids that are one's younger and one's older than you, is it's a tough job market out there.
Yeah.
But maybe we could do some kind of laundromat partnership where maybe we do a wash, dry, fold, and you end up putting that entire process in place here. I mean, there's always opportunity.
Yeah.
So you never know what'll happen.
Yeah.
Madeline, the name of the podcast is Laundry List. What is something that you have to do that you don't really want to do? Don't say help teach kids class.
Well, recently I found a doctor and I was asking her, I sometimes get back pain and I'm a little concerned because of how young I am, but I do a lot of sitting. And I was like, do you have any recommendations of what I can do to alleviate that? And she gave me a list of stretches to do to, I guess, work my back and try to alleviate that. So I try to do them every morning and evening, even when I don't want to, try to make it a consistent habit. So I've taken an active role in trying to alleviate my back pain.
Well, the future Madeline will be happy that the younger Madeline
I also try to pick stuff up using my knees instead of bending over my back.
Right, that's good advice. What is something, if you could put it on your laundry list, something fun, what would it be?
Is laundry list an equivalent of a Santa list or something?
Yeah, you can call it that.
Financial stability.
Financial stability. That means you got to get a job and you got to start investing money. But I think you'll get there someday.
My first goal is just a non-seasonal job or just a consistent one.
That's a good goal.
Yeah. Give me a countdown.
3, 2, 1.
This has been Laundry List, the best place for brainwashing.